Well, after a few weeks where I was really slumping and really struggling and starting to question what in the world was going on, the Schleg Daddy is kind of, sort of, back in the saddle again. We'll just leave it at that. 9-4 last week picking winners, 7-6 against the spread. Not great, but it had been the fourth straight week where I've had something positive. So the picks are getting better, and hopefully this momentum carries over into week number 10. Now, I don't know how to feel about the result of the Thursday night game since I picked Seattle to win minus the 6, and they did, because the past few weeks where I've gotten the Thursday night game wrong, I've went on to have pretty solid weeks. So some of these other weeks, like weeks 3 through 6, where I did get the Thursday night game right, it didn't go that well for me. So we're going to see what happens, but here's my picks for Week 10 of this 2017 NFL season. We'll start off with the early games on Sunday. New Orleans travels to Buffalo to take on the Bills. The Saints have won 6 in a row. The Bills are a bit of a surprise team at 5-3. Be interesting to see how much they get Kelvin Benjamin into the fold. The Saints are 2-point favorites here, which was surprising to me a little bit, even with the momentum that they had, because they typically translate much better at home than they do on the road. The Bills are at home. I like the Bills to win. Give me the Buffalo plus the 2. Green Bay heads to Chicago. It's the oldest rivalry in the National Football League. Packers-Bears with no Aaron Rodgers. It's kind of a downer. It's kind of a disappointment. Because honestly, from a Bears fan standpoint, I want to beat the Packers with Aaron Rodgers playing. Beating the Packers without facing their best just isn't the same. Whereas on the flip side, it almost feels like you'll take any consolation prize you could, a potential victory against the Packers with or without Aaron Rodgers. You'll take it at this point, because frankly, I'm kind of tired of the cheeseheads kicking the Bears' teeth down their throats twice pretty much every single year the past 2.5 decades. I can say, I was surprised to see the Bears 6-point favorites at home. I really, really was. I know the Bears are a bit of a surprise bad team. Their defense is playing well. The Packers are scuffling, especially offensively, behind Brett Hundley. You look at the Bears and you say, they're the type of team that matches up well against this Packers team. And in a close game, you kind of like the Bears. And I completely understand that. But I thought 6 points was a bit of a big spread, even with how much the Packers have struggled the past couple of weeks. That said, there's a lot of history here and a lot of ownership by the Packers over the Bears in recent years. Maybe this is one of these reverse psychology karma things where if I pick against the Bears, deep down I'm hoping that they win and it'll help make it come to reality. And I think that's what I'm going with. One of my upsets of the week, I'm taking the Packers plus the 6 to win on the road at Soldier Field. I think that's a big spread. And I do think the Packers, even with Brett Hundley, can beat the Bears, especially because the Bears are so scared of letting Trubisky go out there and show what he can or can't do. The Browns, the skid marks of the NFL, travel to Detroit to take on the Lions. The Lions are big 12-point favorites here. This is a bad team in Detroit. I like Stafford and the Lions in those type of situations. Give me Detroit minus the 12. Cincinnati travels to Tennessee to take on the Titans. Titans are 4.5-point favorites. The Bengals aren't that bad, but they're not very good. The Titans are good, but they're not that good. But at home, I like them minus 4.5. Pittsburgh travels to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. The Colts are fresh off of a victory last week over the Texans. The Steelers coming off of their bye. A lot of things indicate this is the type of game that Pittsburgh should go into Indy and just blow them out of the water. But as I've talked about so often over the years, these are exactly the type of trap games, these type of downer games that really have been the foil of the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Mike Tomlin era. They really have been. Like earlier this year, the Steelers lost to the Bears at Soldier Field. I'm not going so far as to saying the Colts with Chuck Pagano leading them can beat the Steelers here, but I do think 11 points is a really big ask on the road with a lot of bad history there, even as well as the Steelers played the past few weeks leading up to their bye. Give me the Steelers to win, but give me the Colts to cover the 11-point spread. The Jets, surprisingly, are only 1-point favorites heading into Tampa with Jameis with his injured shoulder. I believe he's not playing, which means we get Fitz magic, which means it's a revenge game narrative, I guess. The Jets have to be thought of as a clearly better team, don't they, at this point? Give me the Jets minus 1. That's like one of the easiest bets of the week on paper. Minnesota travels to Washington to take on the Redskins. The Redskins are still battered on both sides of the ball. The Vikings got some good news this week with Teddy Bridgewater being activated. He'll be the number 2 quarterback. Sam Bradford's moved to the IR. That was a great trade for the organization. But with that said, the Vikings coming off of a bye, they're 6-2. They're in first place in the NFC North. They're in the mix themselves to potentially get a first-round bye in the playoffs. Still in the mix for home field advantage. Definitely in control of their own destiny in the NFC North. The Redskins deserve credit for that scrappy victory they had on the road last Sunday against Seattle, a game they had no business winning, and they found a way to do just that. That said, Washington's favored here. I kind of get it. I kind of don't. I like Minnesota in their defense. I think defense is the thing that travels better on the road more than offense does. Give me Minnesota plus the half point. The Chargers travel to Jacksonville. Jags are 4-point favorites. They really need to win this game here, especially assuming that Tennessee can handle business against Cincinnati, or even if they don't, either way. It's an important game for the Jags. The Chargers are probably a little bit better than their record indicates, but they're still not a good team. This is the type of game where the Jaguars' defense should be able to play well. Give me the Jags minus the 4. Shifting to the late afternoon Sunday games, Houston travels to Los Angeles to take on the Rams as 12.5-point underdogs. Tom Savage is their quarterback. Give me a break. They just lost to the freaking Colts. The Rams are 6-2. Now they're back home. They have a ton of momentum. They just put up over 50 points on the Giants, whose defense is decent, you would think, based off of name recognition and history. Give me the Rams minus 12.5. Dallas, without Ezekiel Elliott, apparently he's back suspended again, travels to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. And even though the Falcons have been a mediocre team this year, they're kind of struggling to find themselves, especially offensively, and they haven't grown much defensively. And you look at this game and you say that without Ezekiel Elliott, the entire dynamic of the Cowboys' offense, and as a result, their defense and their team just changes. It's not the same. You're probably right. That said, I really haven't seen much this year to indicate that the Falcons are anything other than a mediocre to bad football team. And I feel like heading into this game, this could be a potential statement game for the Cowboys, even though they're going into Atlanta where historically Matt Ryan and that team plays better. So even though a lot of things indicate that the Falcons should win this game, and for all intents and purposes they should, just to perhaps be a little contrarian, a little different, I'm taking Dallas to win plus the 3 points. The Giants travel to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Will Garoppolo play at some point? Will he not? We don't know. But what we do know is this is a matchup of 2 really bad football teams, period. And at some point in time, I think the way San Francisco has played, they've been close enough to enough people, competitive enough. They got to get into the win column at some point. And that Giants team, whereas the 49ers are terrible, but they're playing hard, the Giants are terrible, and they look like they're on the heels of being ready to fall apart completely. This has got to be the time, doesn't it? In the field of genes? San Francisco plus the 2. They win their first game of the year. I think I've picked them 3 straight weeks in a row now. Hopefully third time's the charm, damn it. Shifting to the Sunday night game in a make-or-break game for the Broncos and their season, a season that is quickly slipping away from them. They host the New England Patriots, who are 6-2. Yay! You just got shellacked by the Philadelphia Eagles, and now, even though you're going back to Mile High, here comes Tom Brady and the Patriots offense. Yee-haw! Who are the Broncos starting at quarterback? Frankly, I don't know if it matters at this point. Osweiler sucks, Simeon sucks, and the fact that Paxton Lynch might get the nod or might not, either way, he probably sucks too. Who knows, and who cares at this point? Give me the Patriots minus the 8, because Denver has shown you nothing the past several weeks. Even defensively. I mean, they just got shredded and destroyed by the Eagles. So this is one of these things, elite and big by reputation, not actually by performance matching on the football field. And then the Monday night game, you've got Miami going to Carolina to take on the Panthers. I'm not surprised Carolina's favorite. I thought 10 points was a bit of a big spread. Cutler's not great in prime time, although this past week on Sunday night, he was pretty good against the Raiders, although, again, that was the Raiders' defense. Cutler had a decent game. Look, I think the Carolina Panthers win this game, but you're asking me a lot to give them 10 points. Give me Miami to cover the 10-point spread. So there are my picks this week. We're slowly but surely getting back on track through 9 weeks. I'm 78-55 picking winners, 74-59 against the spread. Not spectacular, but something you can fucks with, something you can make some money off of. Hopefully week 10 will be more good and no more bad.